Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you may be looking at this video. My name is Hillary Luck, and I am the director of OCS Connect, which is a division under Our Community Salutes. And Our Community Salute is the only national nonprofit organization that recognizes and supports and as well as educates high school students or seniors and their parents and their guardians who plan to enlist in the military straight out of college. Our motto is to be the first to say thank you. And with OCS Connect, we want to support the parents and the enlistees on this journey. And I couldn't think of a better way of doing it today than with our guest, Stacey Gordon. Stacey Gordon, hi, welcome to OCS Connect.
Thank you, Hillary. I am honored to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Not a problem. Stacey has been a part of all of our virtual events thus far, and she has given us such wonderful insight that I thought it would be great to just have a personal conversation with her. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just dive in and have a personal conversation. I'm going to try to follow some questions, but you know me. And if you don't, you'll soon get to know that the questions may go off. But one of the things that I really enjoyed when I was looking at the outline that was provided to me by Stacey was a quote at the bottom of her signature. And the quote says, "To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world." And the author is unknown. What was it about that quote that made you say, let me put this on my name?
Wow, Hillary, there's a lot of different reasons. I think we never realize the impact that we have on people. And I think it's so important, whether you are an enlistee watching this, first of all, thank you for your service, and the families, thank you for your service as well. You never really realize the impact that you have on people. And I think truthfully, I just came from a memorial service of a college professor of mine that passed away, and it made me realize the impact that she had on my life and the knowledge that I've taught and I've learned from my own human experience I get to share with other people. And it's just, just being a light for others, and you never know when you'll have an impact. And especially in the conversation in the context of enlistees and parents, if it's okay, I'd like to share a quote with you that I think, okay. So first of all, I'm also glad you brought up the whole concept of OCS being an education, an educational organization, because I am a teacher by training and trade. I was an educator for 15 years. 3 of my students are currently serving. And this, while it's geared to a teacher and an educator in a classroom, it certainly applies to parents, and it certainly applies to enlistees. And it's by Hayam Ganot. And it says, "I've come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in the classroom or in my family. It's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher or as a parent or as a leader, I possess a tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous, to make a soldier's life, an airman's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and another human being be humanized or dehumanized." And that really sums up that quote. We really have the impact. We can have such a tremendous impact, both positive and negative, on another human being.
Stacey, I definitely can relate to that. I honestly this week said, I have such control over the impact that I have on people, and I can't wait for somebody else, good or bad. And I literally had that conversation with myself in my time of meditation this week, as a parent, as a wife, as a leader, and all the aspects of the hats that I wear. So I definitely can relate to that. And definitely as a mom of 3 young men in the military, you never know what the phone calls are going to be, but how you respond to them determines what happens next. So I definitely can relate to that with you. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because the topic that you're going to be discussing on our next virtual event is going to be, and I just want to make sure I get the topic correct, the holistic journey through service and self. 5 tools to thrive, and I love that word, thrive, during the military service and beyond in a uniform. And in that, you're going to discuss the holistic approach. So first of all, you mentioned 8 um, key factors at the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Sure. So actually that comes straight from this. It's the 8 domains or 8 dimensions of wellness, and from SAMHSA. And SAMHSA stands for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. And basically think about a wheel for a minute. The only way a wheel will roll and get somewhere efficiently and effectively is if the wheel is fully, round. And so it's important that as human beings, we realize that there are 8 domains, almost puzzle pieces, that make us fully whole. They're social, so social connection; emotional, so empathy, your feelings, how are other people feeling? Sometimes it's not what you see, it's but beneath the surface. Spiritual, where do you fit into in the grand scheme of things? What's your purpose? What is your greater mission in life? And for some people, that's also spiritual faith, backgrounds like that. But it does not have to be if that's not something that's for you. Intellectual, what are you learning? Are you filling yourself? Are you fueling yourself? Are you developing? Are you evolving? Physical, are you treating yourself physically well? Environmentally, your home, your work, your just whatever's surrounding you environmentally. Financial, how are you with your money sense? And I also put time in there, because are you managing your time properly? And then, believe it or not, the last one is career, like occupational. And right away people think, oh, career is exactly what I need. And yes, you need a career, but if you're not feeling okay, you're not feeling whole in all of those other areas, then you're not going to perform well for yourself, for the organization you're a part of. So that's I come to everything looking through the holistic lens, and that's where that came from.
Honestly, when I started thinking about this, I had to look up the word holistic and make sure that I truly knew what that meant. And a lot of times I can see, after looking it up and after you broke down those 8 different topics, how you could be heavy in one area and light or even empty in another area, and not realizing the imbalance that causes in your life. And so as a parent, what would you say to a parent of someone in the military? How do you figure out that balance, first for yourself and then for your enlistee, and supporting them to make sure that they're having that type of balance in their lives?
Absolutely. So thank you for asking that. Resources, I come with resources, and I will put together a document, but there is, and again, in a very tangible way, there's actually a personal health inventory that you can look through to help guide you to almost serve as a benchmark or a meter to see, physical. Well, am I, or is my enlistee, working out? Are they eating properly? Or how are they performing? So money, is my enlistee spending money properly? And even if he or she might not, Hillary, you and I talked about that. Sometimes we have to let the young people make their decisions and learn from mistakes. Not that they're mistakes, they're learning experiences. So, just again, and I'll give you some specific examples of how you can ask yourself, how am I, self-reflection, how am I really, rating against myself, not anybody else. It's not about comparison. It's how am I feeling on a scale of 1 to 5, and then deciding action steps. If I'm not where I want to be, well, what are some things I can do to move myself forward?
Well, I love that you just even broke it down so that we have the 8 domains now in the front of our mind. So now, for all of the parents who are going to be involved in the December virtual event, they can start thinking about those domains prior to our virtual event in December, and begin to question, is there a balance? And if there's not a balance, what can I begin to do? How can I implement some of this? And what questions can I bring to this next Zoom in December that may be able to help motivate me or push me in the right direction? Now,
Absolutely. And just one thing that I just would like to add, in an ideal world, everything would be completely round. I mean, granted, we go through seasons of life, ebbs and flows. And sometimes you might not be sleeping as much as you need to. So physically you might not be okay, but you're performing better academically, when I was studying for tests, things like that. But it's good to keep a pulse on where you are in relation to your wheel, if you will. And even about the holistic, a little, kind of in simpler terms, it's like physical health, mental health, emotional health, again, spiritual, relational, even healthy relationship with yourself. How is that? How's your mindset and self-talk? But we'll talk about that later. So
love that you brought that back to the center again, because one of the things that I strive to do as a mom is to be consistent in my conversation and my reaction with my men, and sometimes that's hard when they're saying something that I may not agree with, or where they're not where I think they should be at a certain point in life. But one of the things that I've learned is that consistency allows you to make it through things. And so when you have those high highs and those low lows, it becomes a rough place to be. And so one of the things that I would encourage parents, and wherever you're at, don't beat yourself up if you find that you look at this list and you're not where you want to be, but begin to figure out, how can I find a consistency that I can work through every aspect of it. You also mentioned some tools, some strategy tools, and you actually go through 5 particular tools, and one of them is strategy goal setting. Can you discuss the importance of goal setting for both the parent and the enlistee? Now, we have the ear of the parent, but hopefully we can drop some seeds that they will then have the ear of their children or young people that they're involved with.
absolutely. So you have to, back to that wheel, you have to think, where are you and where do you want to be? And that's really helps you figure out what your goals are, because, and sometimes some people might be like, I don't really know what that means. And so again, I have another resource, and it's what do you want your life to be like? What do you want your life to look like? Personal life, home environment, family and relationships, education. So each of those are those goals. And what's really important when I talk about strategic goal setting is that you can't just come up with an idea and go with it. You have to really think on a deep level. Why do I want that? And then what will that bring for me? And how will I feel when I achieve that? And if, then what will that bring to me? And almost 5 to 6 to 7 levels deep, which a lot of times people don't even know to think about that. And, especially now I'm working in the military transition space. So a lot of service members are coming out, they're jumping into a job, and then they're realizing that they're not happy, they're not fulfilled. So it's really important at the younger stage to really think about what's important to you. I used to say with my students, what makes your heart sing? What would you do at 3 a.m. if you weren't getting paid to do it? And really take steps, as you're starting your military career, and really kind of keep keep your pulse on, are you going in a direction that you really feel is going to help you long term, not just in this moment, but longer term for your goals?
Add to that is, many of our young people went into the service and they may have been able to choose what career they wanted to go into, or they may have gotten a career that they were eligible for. That doesn't mean that that's where they have to stay. And they can do that job with such a spirit of excellence, and in their free time, take the classes, do the research, and build up that other thing that may really give them passion. And I think if we can first, as parents, figure that out for ourselves, because how many of us know that we still struggle in some of these areas? But if we can figure out how to figure out that space, then we can plant that seed for our young person, and really be an encouragement for them to say, you may not be where you want to be, but there are some steps that you can be making now that's going to lead you to that final picture or that platform. And you never arrive. Yeah, every time you get someplace, you set a new goal, you set a new target, but the fact that you're moving forward. And I believe as parents, we can support each other in supporting our enlistees and making those steps. And then what was the second tool on the list?
Resilience building and mindset.
And can you tell me a little bit about that and what that would look like for parents as well as enlistees?
Sure. So I'm going to start with mindset. So there's a few things. I'm going to teach you something called the results formula, and it's about mindset. And it's your thoughts lead to your feelings, and your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions lead to your results. So if you're having negative self-talk, it's almost like if you don't put the best octane gas in your car isn't going to feel so well. If you're putting negative thoughts into your mind, you're not going to feel so well. And then you're not going to perform. You're not going to take your action steps as, your car would not go as well if it doesn't have the proper gas. And ultimately, you personally are not going to get to where you wanted to get to quite as efficiently, effectively, feeling whole and well. A lot of it does start with mindset. Three really important words that I'm also going to teach you are up until now. So up until now, I might not have felt successful. Up until now, and it immediately just breaks the cycle of, nothing's going right. Up until now, it feels like nothing has gone right. And it's really important that there have been some things that have gone right, even when it feels like nothing is. So it's really important. And Hillary, you talk about this a lot, like find the glimmer of hope and find the silver lining, in this to move forward. And two really important things to help build resilience, to help build a strong mindset, are gratitude. And with gratitude comes, what are you proud of? So the quickest way to change your state, if you will, is if you're kind of ruminating on negative, stop. What am I grateful for in this moment? Even if it's that I woke up today, or that I'm breathing today, or that there, whatever it is. And also, what am I proud of? What am, and it immediately takes you out of that negativity and helps you focus more on positivity, which helps you with your resilience moving forward.
Two things came to mind as you brought that up. The first one was a Proverbs that I love, and it's Proverbs 23:7, and it says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." And that is so important. If we can begin to think what it is that we want and we believe, even if we're not seeing it yet, just the idea of thinking about it. And the other thing is, one of the things that I realized in boot camp is that you have to make their beds. And you don't think about it, but that's really for them to have a moment of success, a moment of victory at the beginning of their day. So if everything else failed, they can at least close their eyes and say, I was successful in making my bed. And I don't know, that might seem so small, but there is definitely, if we can encourage each other, first as parents, we may have not had the best conversation on the phone. We may have said the wrong thing during a holiday, but what did we say correctly? What did we do, or what can we do differently next time? So don't beat yourself up, build yourself up. And the other thing is, what can we help spotlight for our young people in areas of success? They may not have the home they want yet. They may not be in a career they want yet, but they're 1%, the 1% who is representing the country, that's giving us peace, that's allowing us to sleep at night. So let's figure out how to highlight those areas so that our mindset can shift.
And
Now,
also, Hillary, can I share a poem that I often have? There's a poem. It's by John Greenleaf Whittier, and it's actually called "Don't Quit." And this poem also happens to be engraved on one of the tombstones up at West Point, at the West Point Cemetery, which is about an hour from me. And on some of my toughest days, I'll just drive up to the cemetery just to read this poem. And it's pretty powerful, so I'm going to share it with you. It's called "Don't Quit." When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure comes about when he or she might have won had he or she stuck it out. Don't give up. Though the pace seems slow, you may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you're the hardest hit, because it's when things seem worse that you must not quit.
And I think that was perfect timing. I believe that there may be somebody watching this video right now that they're on the verge of quitting, or you may have heard something from your young person and you sense that they're on the verge of quitting. I want you to know that we're here for you. Our desire is to support and encourage you. You're not alone. And again, we never know how far we're away from that victory, from that feeling. You know, we all get that feeling. And so I just want you to know we're here to support you. And again, if you have to remind yourself over and over again to keep moving forward, or if you have to be that voice for your young person, be that voice. Don't quit. Don't stop. Trust that those seeds are being planted and a harvest will come out of it. I'm going to continue on. The next point is community engagement. And, you know, that's who we are. That's what we're doing. We want to connect with the community. But can you discuss how that plays a role in the military journey, and how parents can learn to engage and support their enlistees or their young men and women?
Sure, absolutely. So quote is team effort. Together, everyone achieves more. So that's the most important thing, that you're not alone on this journey. You have military supporting you, you have civilian supporters that are supporting you, you have active duty veteran service organizations. And, you know, that's the most important thing, that you said it before, you're not alone. And even when you might feel that way, you're not. And especially here, our community salutes, you know, it's communities across the country, around the world, that are coming together to serve and support and honor and respect the enlistees, their families, you know, so you've got everybody rallying around you. And then over the past couple of years, I've learned about different community organizations. Do you want me to share some of them, or just wait until the resource, or?
Put it in the resources. And that you mentioned that, you know, I would like to tell you that we're the only ones out here, but we're not. And I don't want to be, because there are so many people in need of help and support. We want to be the place where you can come and tap into all of those other resources. And that's the thing that I love about being on our live virtual events, is because you'll ask a question and I may not have the answer, and even my guest speaker may not have the answer, but there'll be a parent, an educator, a friend that's on, that they'll dive in with a resource for you. So I want to encourage you, even when you feel like I just can't make it, it's worth making it, because even if you leave with 1% more knowledge than when you came on, I believe it will make a difference in the long journey and the road to thrive and not just survive the military and the experience of being a parent of an enlistee or a military young man and woman. Now, Stacey, the next tool is education and skill development. And that is such a vital part of the military, because one of the things that I've realized is our young men and women are getting educated and getting life skills that are going to help them in their careers. What would you say as a parent, you know, for parents, how do we stress this? What does this really mean, education and skills and development?
So I've spoken to a few soldiers, actually lots of branches recently, about this, and preparing for this call. And I said, what advice would you share with parents and, you know, enlistees? And they said, get involved in education. Every branch has some type of community education center. I know it's the Army Education Center. I'm not familiar with the actual titles, but know that it's out there, because this one of the soldiers I was speaking to last week, ironically, who's transitioning into the world of education, said the military will pay for you for different education to help you get your credentials, to help you get your careers, that as soon as you take off that uniform, you lose some of those opportunities. So that's really important, to really think about your plan, your life plan, again, not in this moment, but what do you want your life to look like in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years? Because again, back to the strategic goal setting, you have to make sure that everything is aligned to that. And just, I've heard this said before, you have to plant seeds of corn to get corn stalks. You can't plant pumpkin seeds and expect corn stalk, so it's so important that there's a through line, if you will. And again, on the resource guide, I'll put together, there's different organizations that are out there that offer free money for certifications, for different educational programs, scholarships for the military community that are in addition to the actual service, your branch of service that has community education support.
Yes. And one of the things, and I know you might have heard me say this before, if you've been on any of our events, the military is going to take everything they can and they need from our young people. It's our young people's responsibility to get the most out of their time and their relationship with the military. And one of them is their education. So they may not be ready to have that conversation, but you begin as a parent, as a guardian, as an educator to plant those seeds so that when they're ready to have that conversation, they have an idea of where to go in order to continue to grow in that area.
And
Now,
Hillary, I think that's so important that you said, somebody might have every intention, okay, I want to do this, but I have no idea where to go. And they're so busy that they're not necessarily going to have the time to figure it out. So that's why, again, personally, I'm so excited that I've learned so many resources to share. And I know other, like you said, it's a team effort, and other people have, experiences and resources, even when they were serving, what they had to do, or, so it's important to also equip, and that was one of the objectives, is to equip with the knowledge and the education, to make it effortless for them to get to that point.
and the final tool, and not that these tools are the only tools, these are just the ones that we're discussing on this particular Zoom. The next one is financial literacy. And I can't stress, I've heard so many stories from my sons, from so many co-workers that have made foolish mistakes in the military. And some of them were able to bounce back from them. Some of them were so devastating that they lost their opportunity to be in the military. So what would you say, Stacey, about the importance of financial literacy for not only for the enlistees, but for some of the parents? For some of us, we may be struggling with this, and this may be an opportunity for us as parents to grow as well.
Absolutely. So this resource I am going to share here, I have found that the Army actually has something called Financial Frontline, and I think it's financialfrontline.org, but they have printable worksheets that you can print out to help you kind of assess where you are on your spending habits, your saving habits. Are you, what might your goal be? A goal might be a vacation, a goal might be a car, a goal might be education, a goal might be real estate for the future. So again, it's all about strategic goal setting, and make sure your money is being allocated to places that is actually going to help you move the needle forward. And it's the same thing with time. And I'm really picky that I keep bringing time into the money situation, or the money conversation, the money piece of it, because you have to really think about how you're spending your time. Is that also moving you forward? And are you sitting, watching Netflix or playing video games, or are you spending that extra time making extra money to help fund your future? So again, it's all about that planning and making sure, here I am, here's where I want to be. And am I taking if I'm on a road, am I veering off that road, or am I actually on track? And if you veer, no problem. There's, we can help course correct. There's plenty of resources and people out there to help you course correct.
And I think one of the key things that you said is time is money. And one of the things that I've noticed with my sons, a lot of times being older, we look at video games as a negative, but if it's a way that they're connecting with other people, so I would suggest as a parent to begin to ask those questions. What are you getting out of the video game? What are you getting out of this time? Whatever it is that they're doing, so that the conversation can start. And then you can then say, wow, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm getting. And you can begin to give them some feedback without it being a battle, but more or less a relationship where you're having a real conversation. And I know from my sons, who are fortunately now that they're all in the same area, but when they weren't in the same area, video games was their way of connecting. They were able to get online and play with video games, even if somebody was deployed and somebody was at home. So it's good to give the advice in a way that they're able to receive it. And it starts by a relationship and great conversation. So I'm hoping that the 5 points that we shared will begin the conversation. You don't have to have them all at one time. You may just have one and a quick phone call, maybe one at the next holiday dinner, whatever the case may be. Stacey, I'm super excited that we're going to get to have some more of you. We're going to get to dive in a little bit more. We're also going to be able to share those resources with our families who attend our virtual event. And it's going to be in December. And it's going to be Tuesday, December 19th from 6:30 to 7:30. And we will be sending out an invite for you to register and be a part of that event. But before we leave, Stacey, is there any last minute closing summary or advice that you'd want to give to our parents and to anyone who's able to see this video?
It's going to be a quote that I shared in my classroom for 15 years, and it's by George Bernard Shaw. And it's, life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. And it's all about the choices that we make in life that help move us forward and or in a different direction. So, just keep in mind that, you, and again, another quote is from Invictus, but you are the master of your journey and your destiny. And, and it's important to just keep that in mind and know, again, that you've got this and you're part of an amazing community, and that you're not alone, and you can do it.
Stacey, you couldn't have said it better. I definitely agree with you. We are creating the life that we're living right now. And if we're not happy with the life that we're living, we can recreate, we can change some things. And that's the same thing that we can help our young people understand. And so, again, I look forward to every one of you being a part. Stacey, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Family, friends, supporters, show up on December. And again, that date is going to be December 19th from 6:30 to 7:30. It's going to be a virtual event. Come with questions, come with answers, come with a conversation. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you again, Stacey. And thank you to all of you who are connected to our community. Salutes and OCS Connect.